Thanks, Bob, and thanks, David, for bringing forward your guidance on how we can prepare for climate change. My name is Deneen Powell. I'm the director of the Path Positive Communities here at Eco America. As Bob stated earlier, it's important to talk to our friends and neighbors, everyone, every day about climate change, and most importantly, to focus on the solutions. As we just heard, the climate crisis can seem overwhelming, but with hope, change, collective action, and excellent resources like How to Prepare for Climate Change, we can help our communities find a more just, sustainable, and climate-friendly future. We are now going to hear from a community that is preparing for climate change by restoring nature. Together, they are forging a new partnership and initiative to protect communities on the Mississippi River from flooding and to fight climate change. Joining us from East St. Louis, Illinois, is Mayor Robert Eastern in conversation with Mike Sertle from Ducks Unlimited and Colin Wellenkamp from the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, a Path to Positive Communities partner.
Hi, Deneen. Thank you so much for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colin Wellenkamp. As Deneen mentioned, I'm the Executive Director of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. And joining me is one of our rock star mayors, Mayor Robert Eastern of East St. Louis, and one of our rock star partners, Ducks Unlimited. And that Ducks Unlimited is being represented by Mike Sertle, Chief Biologist for the project that we're going to be talking about, which is an exciting new endeavor between all of the cities along the Mississippi River and that stellar organization. Just before we get started, I'm going to frame a couple of things for the conversation and the audience, and really reflect on the title of today's session, Making It Happen at the Local Level, it being climate performance. What does modern climate performance look like in Middle America and locally? And we believe our mayors are not only in a special position to really bring innovation and progress into climate performance, but they are in a special area of need along the Mississippi River, which is America's greatest, most important river and the world's most important working river. We have had our own dose of climate challenges. They have been significant. We are over $210 billion now in actual losses along the Mississippi River corridor. That is directly along the corridor itself, $210 billion in losses since 2005. Just recently, in 2011, 2016, and 2019, significant disaster events that were corridor scale. And the 2019 event was basin scale. So our cities have really been on the forefront of both the need and the innovation around climate performance. Not only that, but it's not just big cities, but small cities, medium-sized cities, and big cities getting together and linking all those needs and all that performance into one direction of synergy through a 10-state corridor, 2,500 miles long. That's 5,000 kilometers of waterway and of coordination, coalition, and bringing folks as resources together. I would say today, climate performance is no longer singular cities doing what they can inside their city boundaries and jurisdictions. The new degree of climate performance is many cities coming together that share geographical features and regional history, regional culture, and regional impacts to really move the needle at scale. Smaller cities can play a particularly viable and valuable role in this work. Now, big cities, of course, can be the anchors, stringing together larger metropolitan regions, stretching over an extended landscape through multiple states. And that is what our cities along the Mississippi River are doing. Mayor Eastern is going to talk about the unique opportunity we have now to onboard the new resources that will be available through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the IIJA. This is a monumental opportunity that only comes around once every few generations, where resources provided by our nation going into our states, our counties, and our cities, we can funnel that into real mitigation, adaptation, and resilience work around climate performance. And we can only do it well if we do it at scale. $75 billion of new federal funding over the next 5 years will be coming into the 10-state corridor of the Mississippi River Valley. This is an opportunity that we cannot miss, and we need to put this money to work for climate and our infrastructure if it's going to last. Otherwise, it's just going to get washed away and devastated by the next dose of persistent record-breaking disasters that we have been experiencing throughout our country and North America. So it is my pleasure and honor to introduce our Illinois State Chair, Mayor Robert Eastern of East St. Louis, Illinois, and leadership of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. He's not only going to be talking in regards of his own city, but the 101 member cities of MRCTI through the 10-state Mississippi River Corridor. Mayor Eastern, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Colin. Appreciate you for the introduction. And I just want to say, I apologize for if there's any buffering going on with my camera at such time we're experiencing some Wi-Fi and some broadband issues, which kind of buttons up with the infrastructure bill that we're talking about. But candidly, the climate change presents most significant challenges as we are faced with sustaining our essential resources. The mayors along the Mississippi River has recognized this challenge, and we are working to rise to the occasion. Just 3 years ago, among the entire Mississippi River basin flooded over for 9 months, creating the largest and longest riverine flood in U.S. history, costing over $20 billion in losses. Now, ironically, we're actually battling to moderate to extreme drought in many areas of the Mississippi corridor. To break this down succinctly, making the community actions that happen in terms of climate performance depends on your ability to draw direct lines. To cause the benefits from the climate impacts infrastructure projects at the local level. As mayor, I believe the key climate mitigation at the local level to aboard these projects, develop, communicated, and implemented for many of benefits, such as climate objectives. My city, the city of East St. Louis, is situated across the Mississippi from St. Louis, Missouri, and we're surrounded by other MRCTI municipalities. And to compromise the Metro East region of the Middle Mississippi River Valley, our area is subject to 4 persistent worsening climate impacts. 1, the backwater and river flooding. 2, intense heat. 3, this is the drought. And 4, powerful storms like the ones that spawned tornadoes this past December. Myself and federal regional mayors of the city of Granite City, Saul J. Madison, and Hartford, and East Alton, we need solutions that addresses all these impacts and also our economic prospects. Water quality, outdoor recreation, resilience, heat abatement can all be achieved through deploying natural infrastructure in key areas. In order to achieve such improvements, we need diverse partnership. In 2021, my fellow mayors along the Mississippi River drove 10 states partnership with Cargill's Duck Unlimited, Black and Block, these and others deploying in natural resources, natural infrastructure assets throughout 33 cities and 8 states in the Mississippi River Valley to absorb floodwaters before they reach my city. These projects include delta restoration efforts to mitigate sea rise level. But I'm very excited about these projects that have been being developed in my region. One of the particularly right next to my city, we're working with Ducks Unlimited to increase the flood absorption capacity of Horseshoe Lake, and this is the old scare of the Mississippi River. The key is here to capture the water that falls behind my city and flows out the Mississippi. Questions of carbon, cleans our water, and adds to our outdoor recreation economy. Mike Sertle from Ducks Unlimited will explain more about our broad partnership. But just before that, I want to share the project development It's not where our work ends. So the mayors and I have come together at the corridor scale. We recognize the severity of the challenge. We commissioned and completed a scientific study to guide our work. Now are deploying our projects to build a solution at the scales appropriate to impacts to sustaining. What is missing is policy at the state and national level to support it. And that's where we need our federal platform to come and play. Last year, mayors and I were successful in working with Congress to pass the Resilience Resolving Loan Fund, or STORM Act. Most of our jobs and priorities were accomplished. But now we need to complete the funds to secure for our corridor. These jobs acts really afford us the opportunity to make our infrastructure more climate resistant. The STORM Acts and Job Acts and the American Rescue Act and the CARES Act must be carried out and guided through the long-term policy improvements. That's why mayors are supporting such efforts as the National Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Strategy Act and the Flood Resiliency and the Taxpayers Savings Act, the Climate Resilient Act, and most importantly, the Safeguarding the Mississippi River Together, or SMART Act. The SMART Act is an innovative approach that will provide federal coordination, restore natural infrastructure, support any new approaches to remove nutrients, and to also thrive in sustainable economic along the Mississippi River. The economy is reported along the Mississippi River. The SMART Act establishes national Mississippi Rivers Program offices, authorizing transformative new grants to help the embrace green and assets states with arid nutrients reduction. Further, the SMART Act establishes methods by comprehensive Mississippi River management plan that can be devised. Now I would pass things over to Mike Sertle of Ducks Unlimited, who has been amazing partner with a valuable allies to protect our communities along the Mississippi River.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor Eastern. I appreciate it. It's great to once again be here to talk about our partnership with MRCTI and the mayors, and to talk about how Ducks Unlimited's projects, our wetlands projects, that now in our 85th year as in an organization, we continue to move forward, help to benefit the MRCTI cities and mayors and their goals of floodwater attenuation, water quality, carbon sequestration, wildlife habitat, and public recreation. If you could please roll the video. Within the St. Louis area here, as Mayor Eastern said, you can see St. Louis there in the far background, the St. Louis Arch, Horseshoe Lake State Park, State Fish and Wildlife Area. As Mayor Eastern said, this is a historic remnant oxbow of the Mississippi River within view of Cahokia Mounds site. Ducks Unlimited has already completed one project here that we're flying over top of now. That is to increase a wetland from 20 acres in size to 60 acres in size. What this does for us is it provides stormwater storage. It provides backwater flooding storage. Where this site is located is basically Mayor Eastern's town of East St. Louis is wedged between Horseshoe Lake State Park and the Mississippi River. So whether it is stormwater coming off the bluff out of the metropolitan area, running into Horseshoe Lake State Park, or whether it is the Mississippi River backing up and cupping up the Cahokia Diversion Canal. Wetlands like this one you see here in front of you, that will be 4 times the size of the water you see now as it catches stormwater and backwater. With another project we have coming up here at the state park, we're looking at nearly 300 acres of stormwater capture in one of their wetland units. The benefit that provides is that they manage it for wildlife habitat. And what is good for the waterfowl and wetland wildlife habitat management is to be able to get that water, take that water, and then remove it as you need. So stormwater surges happen and they fill up this nearly 300-acre wetland unit. The state park can capture that as water naturally goes back down, as it's released out of the lake back into the Mississippi River. Then the DNR at the state park can remove this stormwater from this unit, once again making it available for the next stormwater surge and also providing fantastic wildlife habitat. These are just 2 examples right here in the St. Louis metropolitan area of the types of natural infrastructure projects that Ducks Unlimited and its conservation partners do up and down the Mississippi River. The types of projects that we are very excited to work with Colin, Mayor Eastern, and the other mayors to see implemented and start providing these flood storage, these water quality, and other benefits for our mayors and our cities up and down the river. Thank you very much for having me. Colin, I'll return it back over to you.
No, thank you, Mike. Very much appreciate that explanation. It's a tremendous project for Mayor Eastern's city, as well as all the neighboring cities around him, up and down the river and on the other side. And this is just one project that we're doing with Ducks Unlimited. Ducks Unlimited actually has projects lined up with MRCTI directly implicating and benefiting and are adjacent to or inside 33 of our cities through 8 states, all the way from Wisconsin and Iowa region down to the Gulf of Mexico. So this is a spectacular cohort of projects and partnerships that can really move the needle around climate mitigation and resilience at scale. And I think that is really the value added here. Is it isn't sporadic, disjointed projects, perhaps just being onboarded by the largest of our cities. These are all of our cities coming together, big, medium, and small, and really stringing this performance all the way down the Mississippi, because our cities realize, our mayors realize, they cannot do this and mitigate for this large of a problem that is multi-generational, global in scale, and with just inside their jurisdictions. We have to go out amongst the landscape. The basin is over 60 million acres, and that landscape just makes our cities the size of a match head, basically, in terms of scale. So if we're going to have any impact, we have to venture out beyond our city borders, link our cities together, and find landscape size projects like the ones we're doing with Ducks Unlimited to really start to absorb these impacts as much as we can, and have the co-benefits of adding to our outdoor recreation and freshwater economies as well. So thank you so much, Mayor Eastern and Mike, for all of that talk and all that detail. And I believe I will hand it back over to Megan.
Thank you, Colin. And, thank you to Mississippi Rivers and Towns Initiative, Ducks Unlimited, and Mayor Eastern from East St. Louis for joining us today and talking about how preserving, protecting, and restoring nature is a win for our communities. It's a win for natural habitat. It's a win for our health, and yes, for our climate too.